Hello, welcome to UX Makeover Week with me, your host, Elizé. I'm super excited to be here. It's been a little while since I've done an XD challenge. Welcome to everyone who is here live in the chat. Hello, Laura and Jack and Rob. Welcome. Let's get into it. If you guys are like, what is happening? What's a UX makeover? I'm going to show you the design file we're working with. You have access to this design file. It is in the description down below. So you have that link to download and get this exact file that I'm working with. The first thing you're going to see when you open up the design file is the prompt. So we are doing a makeover for a classified ads home site. I don't know, is anyone a Queer Eye for the Straight Guy fan? Because I am, and I got inspired. So I was like, let's do some makeovers for typical sites that are not well known for their great design. So classified ads was one I was excited to dive into. The next artboard here is my process. So my style is much more focused on UX versus UI. I do a lot of UX education. So this is a great learning lesson, first few steps on starting to implement more UX practices into your design and making you a nice, well-rounded designer. So first step that I did is you want to review the site that you want to do the makeover for, and you want to review it and look at what's not working well from a UX perspective. So I am doing Craigslist, but you can do any classified ad site you want that you are familiar with. So go ahead and select that. What I do sometimes is I print out the site and I start to think what is working and what's not working. And I like to sketch right onto the paper. So you're going to actually see that here. But here I want to show you just a little bit of what I was thinking. The first thing I'm thinking is I want the focus to be on this juicy, the meat of this design, right? This is what people are going to be clicking on, mostly looking for an apartment or a roommate or a friend. On the left-hand side, there's a lot of stuff that's extra. We don't need to have that up and front and center. Right? We don't need to know about avoiding scams and help FAQ right there as well. We can move that somewhere else. Also over here on the right-hand side where all the locations are, is there another place where we can put that where it's not just up front and center and taking up a lot of the space? So we're trying to declutter. That's the idea here, and put a lot of focus on what we really want the user to be doing. Okay, so from there, I like to do a little competitive research. So I put on there, look at 2 to 3 competitors. You can use the ones that I put in here, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace. Look at their designs, what's working and what isn't working. And then also get some inspiration from other designers in the community. Here are a couple examples on Behance. I really liked these 2 examples here. This one's from Anastasia. I like that it looked clean, it looked modern, but it still looked like the original site. So people who are returning, if we think about who uses Craigslist, it's everyone. A lot of people use classified ads. So people in their 40s, 50s, they don't want to be coming back to the site and it's redone and they're so confused, oh my gosh, everything has changed. That can feel a little alarming. So I don't want to completely change it. I just want to make it a bit better. But feel free to have fun and do whatever you like. You have creative freedom to have fun, and you don't have to do Craigslist. You can do any site that you wish. You can do a complete crazy makeover and have fun with it. Or you could just do a couple of enhancements. After that, I did some wireframes. So I sketched out a couple versions of the design. I went with this card layout, and then I went with another layout with a menu on the left-hand side. And I decided I was going to go with this guy. So a very quick sketch. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just have a basic understanding of what you want to create before you get into the design tool. Now, if you want help with this process, I also put links in here so you can learn more about how to do sketching. You can learn more about how to do a competitive analysis here. And also, if you're a beginner and you're like, oh my gosh, everything you're showing me is so overwhelming in XD, I have a lot of tutorials right here that you can get into and learn the very basics of XD. All right, One thing that I love to use, and this is going to make your process so much more faster, at least it made it a lot faster for me, is using UI kits. So these are designs other people have created. So this one here is one that I'm going to be using. This is a design someone else has created, Vibesh. I'm also going to be using some aspects of this design as well. And I put those links as well in this document so you can download them and utilize other people's designs in your own design. It's a great way to kind of kickstart learning UI, getting familiar in XD, and not having to create every single thing from scratch yourself. So I'm going to be using this UI kit. I am going to really strip it down. So here in this design, I am actually going to really only be using a couple aspects of it. I'm going to delete most of this here. I don't need it. I really actually want mostly this calendar that I'm seeing here. So I'm just deleting all this because I decided that in my design, my makeover, that I want to keep an events calendar. So that's one aspect that I'm keeping. And so I didn't want to have to create this whole calendar from scratch. So I'm like, let me just use the one here on this design file. I also don't need any of these colorful background pieces. They're cute, they're fun, but they're not for this site. And then the navigation, I decided I wanted to have the search much more prominent. So in this original design for Craigslist, the search is over here on the left-hand side. It's typical to see a search in the top navigation or over on the right-hand side. So that's why I'm deciding I want to put it right here in the top middle section. Now it's just very, very nice that there's already a search option right here in the navigation that I'm using in this UI kit. So I'm actually just going to grab this asset here. So I'm going to grab the search button. I've selected it. I'm holding shift and I'm selecting that background layer of the rectangle, and I'm holding shift still, and I'm going to select the little search icon. And I'm going to right click and make this a group. So this is now a little group I can move around, and I'm just going to move it over here. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of a lot of these other pieces that I don't need. I'm going to use a couple of these navigation items. And I'm really just, you can see that I went from like a whole big screen to just using a couple of elements. But for me, this is actually still saving a lot more time than to recreate this calendar and recreate all these pieces. So you're using aspects of someone else's designs and you're adding upon it based on your sketch that you've created. So this search, I like it, but I want it bigger. So with this group selected, I'm still holding shift and I'm just gonna like make it a bit bigger. I want it to be more pronounced. So people are like, I want to look for a roommate. They can search right there, click roommate, and they know exactly where to go. And it's just easier to search. Next to it, I want to have the location. So this is really important for classified ads. You want to know, where am I searching? I don't want to look for a roommate in the other side of the country, right? So that's going to be very important to put up front and center next to this search bar. I'm going to make that Long Beach, California, because that's where I am from. And I'm going to make it a bit bigger. So over on the right-hand side, I'm just changing the text. Maybe I'm going to play with a 22 size font here. And I'm just going to, I think 22 feels good. Okay. From there, I want it so that you can change the location very simply. If you guys recall in the original design, there has like all these neighboring areas over here on the right-hand side. I don't think that's necessary to have all of these cities over on the right-hand side. I want it so that it's just, you're easily able to change the location right here underneath, and you don't need to see a long list of options. Okay. So that I'm going to make into, I'm going to put a little underline, and I'm going to make it a bit smaller. And then I'm going to change that color to the blue that I'm going to use. So it looks like a nice little clickable element. Feeling good? Feeling good so far? Okay. And then from here, I'm going to grab an icon. So over on the left-hand side, I have my plugins. The plugin that I'm going to be using is called Icons for Design. Plugins are power-ups to XD. XD is great, but there's these little enhancements. So instead of having to search for icons elsewhere, I can search for it directly in XD through this plugin. And I can search location, and I have these little options of icons that I can use. And I'm just going to grab this icon right here. And I'm going to make him blue. Okay. So from here, I have the search, I have the locations. The other thing that I wanted to change and make more prominent is a call to action button. So two things people are going to be doing on the classified ads, right? They're going to be searching for something in particular in the location, right? So roommate, a new car, a moped. And the other thing they're going to do is post, right? Those are the two most likely things that they're going to do. So those are the two things I want to be most prominent on my site, right when they get in. So I added this nice call to action button up here. So create a posting. From here, a button, I'm just going to there's no buttons here that I can grab. So I'm just going to make my own button. I'm going to hit R on my keyboard for the rectangle shape. And I'm just going to make a rectangle from here. Then I am going to get rid of that gray border on the right-hand side over here, and I'm going to turn it blue. And the other thing I can do is I can grab this little circle on the inside of the rectangle and pull it in to make a more curved rectangle if I so choose. And then I'm going to click T for text. And I'm just going to, this is blue on blue, so you cannot see it. So I'm going to make it white. What is it? Create a listing. Create a listing. My mouse is acting up on me. You guys ever have that with your wireless mouse that sometimes it feels like it's moving through mud or something? It's like, oh, the struggle is real. So here's my create a listing, and it's going to be over on the right hand side. So I have the basics of my navigation. You'll see I added a few more things, but I'm going to move on to the meat of the screen. I decided that I'm not going to change the content here or the layout necessarily. I'm still going to have community services, etc., just like it is. I'm just doing a little bit of a more modern feel. So again, somebody who's used to using Craigslist can come onto here and not be confused when they come back on here. It's still easy for them to discover and find things the way that they typically do. That was my assumption I'm making. And when you're thinking about doing a design in a short period of time, you have to make assumptions, and you have to know what those assumptions are. You have to be thoughtful about it. So my assumption is that people are going to want to come on to this site and want to feel really comfortable, like they already know where to go, that they're not going to want to learn a new design. And so that was the decision I made. You can make the assumptions up for your design that you want to make and design around that. But this is a very important skill set that important aspect of design work that allows us to move forward in a short period of time. And then we could always test against these assumptions that we make later down the road. Okay. So here I've got my little events section. I'm going to make it bigger. So I'm going to just select the background layer. To select one aspect of a group, this is a whole group of elements, right? If I just want the background layer, I can hold Command on my keyboard and I can make this background layer larger. So holding it and just selecting that. And I can see on the left-hand side that this layer has been selected in the layers panel. So that's the background layer. So now I can move it to where I want it to be. And move it down here. And I am going to take this text, I'm going to copy and make another version of it, and I'm just going to call it Events Calendar. So it has a nice title, and so that they're all, each one of these sections are going to have a title, so it's easier to scan. You might be noticing like, oh, you're using a green. How do we change it from green to the blue that we're using? So very simple. Over here on the top left, on this corner on the left bottom side over here, the top option is document assets. And from document assets, I can just select this green layer, whatever it is, any type of green layer. And I can add it to my colors. From here, if I right click and edit my color, I can take this little eyedropper and I want to use this blue. I want to change that blue. It's going to change that green to blue across my whole design file. So that's the beauty of using over here, the document assets and adding colors and character styles in here is you can change it across your whole design file. And this is really helpful when we're using UI kits from other people and we want to change out their colors and make them more of our own. Okay, so something I'm going to do is I like that there's a little icon here, and I'm going to take that piece. And then I'm just going to get rid of everything else. Now, what I did again is I didn't change much of the content here. So I just went to the original site and I just copied the options. And then I went over and I select T for the text layer. And I'm going to now paste those options in there. So, I am going to just change that. So I just copied something that I like doing a lot, and I use this shortcut a lot, is if I'm liking the styling of this over here and I want to paste that styling into this text area or whatever style appearance you want to copy and paste into, you can select it and Command C, copy it. And then you go over here and you go to Option Command V to paste that appearance style. So it's bringing over the style weight, it's bringing over the line, the spacing between my lines, etc. So you can go ahead and do that if you ever want to just copy and paste the appearance over. Okay, dokie. And then from here, what you would do is you would just like make it a group. So I'm going to select all of these layers and right click and make it into a group. What does that mean? For those of you who've never used groups before, it just allows me to move around these group of layers all together. So they're not just free elements off in the abyss. They're one group that I can easily maneuver and move around. So I have this version, and then I can copy and paste, and I can have a second one here. And then you can just see that from here, you can just change out the text to what you need it to be. You know, you can say housing. This could be community. And you're just going to do this time and again here for all of your card elements. From here, something that we did with colors. So we added this blue color and then, we added a green color and we changed all the greens to blue. Very similarly, you can do that with text. So if I want to make this text actually blue and bigger, I can go over on the left-hand side. I can add this as a character style to my document assets. And I'm going to right click and I am going to make this blue. So now you can see all the text has changed to blue. And I can also change it so that it's 24, that it's now size 24. So this is the way that you can start to kind of add things into your design, and a hack for making things a lot quicker and faster for you as you're designing and going through. Now, the other thing I did was I just changed out this color. So let's do it. Let's add it. There's the green. I'm going to edit. I'm going to make this the blue, but I'm going to make it a solid color instead of a gradient. And I'm going to change the opacity to something lighter. So it's the same blue, it just has an opacity so that it just all feels cohesive. It's all in that blue, in that blue feel. And so it doesn't feel, again, too off, too different than the original design. People feel like, okay, this is the original site that I'm supposed to be on, and this is Craigslist, I'm on the right site, and it's not too alarming for people. From here, as you can see, I have a little navigation, and this is where I'm going to be hosting all of these items, the about Craigslist, Craigslist is hiring, all of this stuff is going to now move into the navigation. That's typically where people would expect to find this type of information. So that's why I'm going to move it there. Now, a navigation, so the bottom navigation, the footer area, is a common design element you're going to see time and time again. So I didn't feel a need to recreate it. I wanted to find a UI kit that already had it, and I'm just going to use aspects of it. I'm going to show you very quickly where I find my UI kits, so it's easier for you when you start to look for your own UI kits. xdguru.com is a great place to find UI kits. And here you can search. And if I was looking for a footer, I would just look for a basic website design, and I would search through, click into them, and see what the design file looks like a little bit more. So I can like take a look at this design a little bit further, like, okay, I like this aspect of it. These are some elements I want to take, and then you can download that design file. So that's exactly how I found the one that we were using earlier, as well as this one here, this maternity design. Now, the only aspect that I'm using is the footer. But again, downloading, doing the search, and bringing this into my design file took a matter of like three minutes, which for me is faster than doing this design all from scratch. So again, I like to work really fast. I like to work smarter, not harder. That's how I go. So if you like this style, then maybe you're going to be like, ooh, UI kits. It's like Lego pieces. You're getting to like pick and choose different aspects from people's designs, start to make it into one design, making it more cohesive, making it faster also for yourself, and getting used to what other people's design styles are like and how to recreate them, how to maneuver them, change them, make it more of your own. And it's kind of fun. I think it's fun. So here I might like get rid of that logo there. I can change out the text and the copy. I can change out the colors, and again, start to make this maybe more like fitting to what I need. So this could say about, and I can change out the content here. Again, so here, this is a different font. This is Poppins. Over here, we were using, what's the font we're using here? Product Sans. So if I want to change and I want to have a cohesive design, I want all of the Poppins to be Product Sans, I can go over again to the left-hand side of my character styles and add that Poppins 13, it'd be Poppin. Right click, edit, and change it to Product Sans. Oh, I don't have Product Sans downloaded. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do the same thing as I did earlier. I'm going to copy on this Product Sans, and then I'm just going to Option Command V to paste that appearance over here. So then I'm going to just make that a bit smaller, and then you could just start using this text. So this could be about Craigslist, and then you can start using this text elsewhere. Typically, you will have the font downloaded that you're playing around with. So I can actually change all of this to something else. Maybe I'm going to be using Proxima Nova, and I can just change that across all of my fonts that I'm using. Right. So it's a great way of like being able to change all those fonts across all your design files very easily. And you're able to then, again, utilize all these different UI kits and just make it one style, one type of font, one color, a couple types of colors that you're using across your file. And it's a hodgepodge, but it doesn't feel like that. It's actually a nice cohesive design. And you're kind of working with the community. You're working with the design community and creating something from it and Frankensteining your own design. So again, now you have the opportunity to make your own. Use any classified ads homepage. Maybe there's one in your country or area that you're like, oh yes, this one really needs some help. I'm so tired of looking at it. I want to have my own spin on it. So go ahead and utilize this process and these steps that I've shared here in my file to start playing around with the process and think, do you have an hour? Do you have 2 hours to work on this? That's what I would recommend, and start to go through the process and getting comfortable with applying more UX into your flow, into your workflow. The other thing, we have an amazing XD community that can give you feedback, support, mentorship, and it's Discord. It's our Discord channel, and you'll see that in the description below and the links below. So go ahead and click on that, post your work, get feedback, share, and give feedback to other people as well. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow for Makeover day number 2. Have a great rest of your day and have fun with it. All right, bye.